Spain. Tremendous speed the Aztecs have. Marshall Falk, 61-yard run. O'Connell improvised, found his man. The Aztecs have taken the lead with 1:06 left to play.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Aztec Football's new podcast, Inside the Climb, brought to you by Aztec Link and the We Believe Network. As always, I'm Kylie Freeland, alongside me, Jack Powers. And joining us every week, Sam Popper, the Associate GM of our Aztecs here, and Caleb Davis, the General Manager of Aztec Football. Welcome, you guys.
Absolutely. Fired up for this thing.
Let's go.
Yay.
It's finally going.
It is finally going. And Sam, kind of just to start us off, tell everyone, you actually approached Jack with this idea. Kind of tell everyone how that came to be.
Yeah, so, it's so interesting, like, all the different stuff that, we've done in such a short time since getting here, and such a big motivation from Caleb and I have been getting out into the community and just trying however we can. Like, if anybody wants to listen to us talk about Aztec football, wants to learn about kind of how college football operates now and, get a real sense of the ins and outs, like, we want to make sure that they know, the door's open to come talk about this stuff. And yeah, I guess, getting out in the community and speaking to people about this stuff when, there's been such a desire to learn more about it. And when I speak to things that over my experience kind of just seem natural and normal as far as like how things operate, not a lot of coverage in the media about how things work in this day to day. And so when we talk, so many people have been really interested in that, and what a great way to kind of be able to, again, open the door for anybody that wants to hear us talk about this stuff to, come in and listen.
I think the other thing to piggyback off that is it gives us the opportunity to share our story where, again, there is no other narrative. Like, you get to figure out the real of, okay, what's the actual life of a day-to-day GM? Because, again, there's so many things out on the news outlets right now about what college football looks like. And again, one of my big prerogatives is like, guys, it ain't as bad as everyone makes it seem to be. Yeah. We love it. Like, yeah, it's chaotic, it's hectic. But to be able to share our story and help get the SDSU brand out there, because I really do think we got something special going on. And the more and more we can share it, the better it'll be.
Well, Sam, when you approached me, I was kind of blown away with that because I think it said everything about you guys when it comes to being the GMs and running this operation, because it is operation now. Can you kind of just talk about, the importance of being in the community now, especially in this era? I think that kind of gets overlooked at times.
Yeah, that's what makes college football a lot more special now than maybe it was 5 or 6 years ago, is now it's one of those things where it takes everybody and it's collective ownership, and anybody can have a role in the success of their local college football team, whereas in the past maybe you were watching from afar. So again, this is kind of fun stuff. Like, what's so interesting about how college football has evolved is there's this like massive change of a major American sport, right, where it's not really broadcasted how things are going. Like, there's a lot of other media outlets that, are maybe smaller than your typical ESPN or CBS or NBC, that you get much more in the weeds to how this stuff works than if you follow those networks, and like, I find it so interesting how, like, this has made this big change, yet not a lot of that change is known by your typical fan. And again, it's like you have to get a little bit more in the weeds to kind of find that out, and just being able to kind of follow the change of that as it goes is really fun.
And I know, Caleb, we've talked about your journey to this spot a little bit on recent pods. I think we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But, I think, Sam, we really want to know your journey. You talked about being at Oregon, at Michigan, these power programs now in the Big Ten. Talk about what that was like. You were in the Pac-12 originally, of course, too.
Yeah, new Pac, old Pac.
What's kind of the difference between the levels you saw there and then coming here, and what has that done for you?
It's fun. One of the things that you realize really quickly is it's the same ingredients wherever you go. Maybe you're putting in a different amount of those ingredients to make, a little bit bigger or smaller the same product. But whether it's FCS or Power 5 or Group of 5, it really doesn't matter, whatever the groups and the powers are called now. But it's the exact same concept that creates a winning team, and I think that so much of it, again, is like the people and how you build it. And one of the things I'm most excited about to talk over the course of the pod is give the listeners a sense of everything that goes into actually building a winning team, and the concepts and strategies that you can implement to go out and execute an identity. And again, like, your whole goal is just to build it around the right people and try to win whatever conference you're in.
Yeah, and Caleb, for the viewers watching, what would you say kind of the one thing that San Diego State does best out there that stands out from other programs?
If I were to say the one thing, like, especially just from a community feel, from official visit feel, from, again, when families are on our campus, it's just about the people. Like, whether you go out and you meet the alumni base that's been a season ticket holder for their family for 70 straight years. Like, there are people like that we've gotten to meet that are just genuine Aztecs through and through. And I mean, shoot, even last night, like me and Sam were out at this little event where we're just hanging out, meeting alumni, meeting different people in the community, and just being around and getting out there. Because again, like, it's not like this everywhere. And again, a lot of what we do stems from the head man. Like, Coach Lewis is such a genuine soul. He's such a good human being that anyone in this program is attracted to the genuineness. But I think that's more of a testament to what the city of San Diego is more than anything. You know, being a gritty military town that, again, like, it's not LA. Like, it feels like we're the more underdog that has to scratch and claw, and I prefer that. Like, it's a lot of fun, and I know Sam probably shares a lot of the same ideals, but just the people here are so great. I mean, even for you guys to be all about it, I know the listeners won't know, but we're sitting in the office at 7 a.m. getting ready, and like, I know that's probably not what you guys expected
Sam's
when you first
pounding
got
a
in.
monster right now.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
No, but to that point, though, I mean, that's another big source of motivation for this ride. Is like, San Diego does a lot for us.
Yeah.
And like, we want San Diego to like be a part of this thing and try to wrap its arms around the team. And again, every time that we've gone around to different events like that in so many different areas of the city, and every time we get so many questions as to like how college football works now and what's your job actually like and what goes into this and what does a player go for and how, guys have agents and, well, how do they spend their money? And again, what a great way for, again, the typical fan to know, hey, if you want to listen to us talk about this stuff, the door is open for you to listen to us talk about that stuff. And then to your point, Caleb, like, San Diego's been awesome because everybody's out and about, and every place that we've been, like, you know, people wanted to listen, which, again, I've been to a lot of places, and truthfully, I didn't expect the amount of people just to care about this stuff like people have cared about this stuff, you know?
Well, I think it's important to also talk about how we're going to get coaches on this as well. What do you think that'll help maybe portray to the listeners out there and access they might get from that?
That'd be great. Caleb and I are persuasive guys. Go around
Oh,
the
yeah.
office and
Oh,
get them in here and get them to talk about stuff.
We can hype it up a little bit. Next week, Coach Lewis will be on. So we wanted to get our feet under us, get the show running, kind of get the word out there. But we look forward to next week, Coach Lewis being on. He'll be a repeat guest, and then get some of the other coaches on as we get into fall camp, talk about the rooms, kind of build excitement for the season. So I'm excited for it.
It'll be good. And so when Jack and I, you guys had lunch last week, we just kind of talked about like the pod and how it was going to go. For me, it was really just like, I don't know this world. I'm throwing different ideas out there and how I want to just talk to people. And then Jack is much more, okay, this is how that would look, and that is how this would look, and no, that won't work, but like this can work. The general goal of this thing was, especially like when we have coaches on, it's for it to be like casual conversation. And them, you know, everybody who listens to this to get just a typical sense of what conversations are like in the office. So to your point, Jack, like, I imagine coaches will come on and, you know, truth be told, haven't planned that far yet. I'm sure we will. Be a ton of small talk. We'll like talk about different items that, you know, are coming up in the course of the team and maybe who we're playing that next week or how practice the previous week went or anything about the future. And, you know, just kind of get their takes on everything and get them in a, again, just like comfortable environment where they're just kind of being themselves.
And that's the one cool thing is no matter where you're at, you don't really get that anywhere else. Because like, even if it might be a season ticket holder event, like we got to be on and kind of like present, you know, who we are, what we are. And this is much more just, hey, laid back. This is what a conversation in the office is going to be like.
I love that. Well, Sam, let's just start talking about your journey. Talk about what got you in to this kind of Wild West initially.
Yeah.
This GM role and, you know, where it all started.
So I loved football as a kid, just like every single person that's in this will tell you. I watched it all the time and all this other stuff. And I never really like knew what I wanted to do. And I'll share a story. So my senior year of high school, like having finished that year, I knew I was going to go to Michigan. And, go be a freshman. And I was basically working at the sleepaway camp, and sometimes at the sleepaway camp you'd have like the night off. So you go home and I chose to go home. Some people go to other spots, and basically at 2 p.m. you got to be back there the next day. So I was gonna head back because it was about a hour and a half drive from my house in Maryland, and I was supposed to be back at 2, and it was like 11:30 a.m. And my mom says like, hey, like, come see this for a second. And she looked, and it was this email from this program that they were starting with the Michigan football team called Team Blue. And my goal and aspiration at that time was to get involved somehow. And so, that was, my mom was excited because she knew I'd be excited. And it was basically detailing that they were looking to get student interns in the building, however, in any sort of way. And, now I look back, I know this. That at that time I didn't. It had every department that you could imagine in a football building. It had being a student manager, it had athletic training, it had video, it had team operations, it had facilities. You name it, they had it. You had to pick which one you were interested in, and then from there you had to like apply. You'd do like a cover letter, a resume, all the stuff I didn't have.
All some whistles, yeah.
Yeah, so my mom, again, was just as enthusiastic about it as I was. She went and she helped me, and we kind of just like put this whole thing together. Time flies, and then next thing you know, it's like, 1:35. And I look at my mom. I love my mom. She's a teacher. She's always been the one that's like, no, you have to go do this, this, and this. And she looks at me, and she's like, honey, just tell him you got a headache. I'm like, whoa,
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's what I called him and said, I'm not feeling well. I'll be there in like 3 hours or whatever. And my mom and I just like kind of grinded through this application, and like, she kind of helped me, like she put a cover letter together and how to do my resume. And, there were a couple of questions or whatever you had to answer and things of that nature. Anyway, I go through, I apply to that, do a couple Skype interviews for all the kids listening. That's before Zoom. Okay, there was this thing called Skype. and then, get to campus, and you were invited to this in-person interview for every department that was there. So it was like 100 some kids in this area, and our director of football operations at the time, John Rachi, gets out in front of everybody and says, hey, I tried for the should have mentioned this at the jump. I tried for the coaching one because that was the only thing I knew like existed. I didn't really know recruiting was a thing. And so he says, hey, the coaching one, we're not looking for that anymore. It was late August. I imagine they had went through training camp and realized they just didn't need the help. And so if you applied for that department and made it this far, you can either, see you later, you'll be guaranteed an in-person interview next time we're looking, or you can either move horizontally and do another department. So I went up to him afterwards and said, well, what's the next closest thing? And he said, probably personnel. So I said, okay, I'll do that. So then I ended up interviewing with Chris Partridge, now at the Seahawks, who was our director of player personnel, and he ended up hiring me, and that was kind of how I got started. So basically throughout the course of the next 4 years, I, did kind of whatever it took to just stay involved and do a good job and try to find some value for myself. And then when I graduated, I had the opportunity to stay at Michigan, and I loved the place, but I knew that, there were a lot of people that just kind of stayed there. And I felt like if I really wanted to get good, I had to go out and learn, and had the opportunity to go to the FCS level and at Howard University, and took it and learned a ton. And again, from there it was a fun journey, right? Like kind of went back home and, did the job there for a year at the FCS level, just trying to kind of figure it out. We had a new coach that came in after the first season I was there, and funny, he's like, what a great way to like learn the business of football, right? Like, so this guy is walking behind him, and everybody in the facility, it's the first time in the facility, everybody in the facility wants to say hi to the new coach. And so I'm thinking, okay, this guy behind him probably feels bad. Let me go introduce myself to this guy instead of waiting in line to talk to the coach. So I go talk to guys, I'd introduce myself, say, hey, nice to meet you. He goes, hey, nice to meet you. I forget his name, but he was like, yeah, I'm here to be the director of recruiting, which is like my title. So I'm like, oh, cool, man. Well, nice to meet you, this and that, thinking like, what the heck? And sure enough, basically what I had to do was teach this guy how to do my job. And then once I did that, I was then let go so that guy could have my job. So, whoa. Yeah, again, what a way to like learn the industry. I was 22.
Wow.
Whoa.
So again, it's an awesome, it's like a fun story, right? But it's, looking back, like, again, I mean, the reason why I left was to go and learn. And again, what a better way to go learn is like, you're wearing this, you go to all these symposiums and things to get to know people, and even though it's just a student at the time, right? You have the big logo on your chest, and everybody's all excited to get to meet you. And, here I am thinking then the next year I'm, 22 years old, the director of football recruiting and administration, right? And people are going to be all excited by that. And it did not work that way. And, going to the AFCA coaching convention the next year, everybody's like, oh, nice, man. Moving on, Did not, you ever been to one of those where you're sitting there and everybody's like, oh, cool, man, nice to meet you. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
Would you say that your age kind of affected that?
Maybe. I think it was more the logo.
Okay.
I just think that in this college world sometimes people are so enamored by the place that you're at. It was interesting. Even the question kind of, Jack, you were asking earlier is what was it like at Michigan and Oregon? In my mind, I think of well, what about my time at Memphis and Howard? What's the difference, right? But I don't know, people seem to be so just enamored by kind of the big schools when they get in college football.
I would piggyback off that to say
same process.
The same way fans have this affinity for a logo, it's no different for college coaches, administrators,
right.
everything. And again, a lot of those conventions too, you end up going to, especially now, we've been to the recruiting symposium back in Nashville, going on, I think this will be my 4th or 5th year in a row. And now going back, I try to give back to as many young people in the industry as possible, but a lot of it is me catching up with my buddies from, that are right up the road at USC or back at Notre Dame or people I know across the country. So I kind of understand it now where it's they probably see kid come up with the Howard logo. It's okay, shake your hand and move on, go hang out and go drink with the guy you wanted to go see. But yeah, that's why again, your lived experience, my lived experience, I try to give back to as many of those people as possible because again, we were all 22-year-old kids in this industry with zero connections, just trying to figure it out. And luckily we were blessed to have enough good people show us the ropes and here we are today.
So that's a great point. So when I was in that point of, kind of just not knowing what to do, I did a scouting internship with the Steelers in 2018 for training camp. And I met one of their scouts there is named Mark Gorsak. And he's a mentor for a bunch of people, obviously not just me. And he goes way out of his way to fill that role in the football industry. If you guys were, Kylie and Jack, if you guys were to talk to any young person in football, at any school, the odds of them knowing Mark Gorsak are astoundingly high.
Really?
He's unbelievable. Wow. And he, I called him about it and he said, get this thing called the Football Green Book, which is this thing that exists. You can go buy it for, I think it's $85. And it basically gives you every contact information for anybody in football. Now it's from the team website, so it's not like you're gonna get everybody's cell phone number. Yeah. But in terms of email, office number, all that stuff, sometimes fax, if there was a fax machine here and I had to send a fax to save my life, I don't think I'd be able to do it. But regardless, if you're a fax person,
too young for that.
You guys fax?
No.
Okay, there's a fax in there.
I've never done a fax in my life.
Because it's funny, so I ended up getting that.
Don't age us like that.
I ended up getting that deal. My dad was like, oh, there's a fax number. I was like, Dad, they don't do that, But anyway, so in the book, it gives you everybody, and it's everybody from the NFL to NAIA. You name it. I mean, the book's massive. Yeah. And so what the advice that Mark gave me was get the Green Book and go through every level of football that you want to work for and go send everybody an email. And don't send everybody the same email. Personalize it for the team. It should take you a lot of time, but respectfully, you're fired, so you have that time. Use it, And that's what I did. And to Caleb's point, since I went through that experience, I try to go out of my way for everybody that's in the same spot, and I give them all the exact same advice that Mark gave me. Now there's more updated versions of the Green Book. This was in 2019, so now I think there's one that's on the internet.
One every year then?
Every year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so now there's one on the internet and whatever, but give everybody the same advice. Get the Green Book, send an email, make it personalized, express who you are, express what you've been able to do for them, and just try and see how it goes. And I ended up getting settled after that at the University of Oregon. But in that process, there were a lot of people that I emailed, and I would get a couple responses of, hey, we don't have anything for you, but really appreciate you reaching out, and bam, a connection started. And I could think of 4 or 5 people that, from those emails I developed a connection with that, I still keep in touch with today that, some are still in football and some are in kind of an adjacent field.
That's how I got my first sports broadcasting gig. Just emailing all the colleges.
Really?
Did you put anything special
Now,
in the email?
now, what's your story? How'd you guys get into that? Because I've never asked you this question.
I just I emailed people saying,
Yeah.
you guys need a play-by-play broadcaster for your athletic program.
And then it just got rolling from
Did
there.
you have to put any like special chops in the email, or you just say, hey, I'm really interested?
I've always wanted to do sports broadcasting. What do I got to do to make this happen? And they're like, oh, funny enough, we have an open spot. Oh, beautiful. Next thing you know,
How many people did it take reaching out to before you
Oh.
found an open spot?
I emailed like every college in Southern California to
Oh,
start.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's how we got set up.
It was funny.
Kylie, what about you?
I saw that this position was open, and I emailed him. And then
There we
I had
go.
an interview with him.
And then here we are.
And
Now
now
So
just
it's funny, like all
hanging
these
out,
concepts are
talking
Honestly,
not that
did a good
different.
job, and,
Oh yeah.
just a great
But-
interviewer.
What's funny, actually, I interviewed at 2 different places, did not get either of those jobs, and then Oregon was my third, and that was kind of where I ended up getting settled.
I think it's so interesting that you wanted to go the coaching route first.
So, and you know what's
like
interesting, though,
growing
like,
up, were you drawing X's and O's?
I will say, I think that's everyone's original goal, because from my experience, like you go out there, I immediately thought I wanted to be an NFL GM when I got started. And then the first day you go to a practice and you see the pads pop and you're like, nope, however I can have a whistle
grown
in
man.
my head, like whatever I can do to stay on the field, like I'll do it. And then again, for our journeys, I'm sure they're both pretty similar to where it just ended up lining up to where personnel made so much more
and
sense.
it's changing a little bit now, Jack, like over the last, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years. But like for everybody that's now like in their, late 20s in football, they grew up like not really knowing this existed. Maybe there was like the idea of being an NFL scout, but I didn't know enough about like this industry to know that like what an NFL scout was, So it's like I kind of went with coaching because that was the only thing out of all those bullets that like I was like, oh, I know what that is. Facilities, like, what am I opening the door? Like, I didn't know what that is, right? Like athletic training, like I'm probably not a doctor. Video, like I don't take good pictures on my iPhone, right? Like I didn't know any of that stuff. So then I was like, oh, I'll just do the coaching. And once I got into personnel though, like that was when, and there were a couple kids from our program that ended up trying to move into being student managers so they could be more involved with the coaching. And a couple of those guys are by the way, like still, doing it and, successful in their own right, which I love. But like, I felt like, oh, this is kind of the part that I like, because in personnel, you get to touch everything. You get to touch every aspect of the roster, and you are like the way I kind of define this stuff for, people outside of ball is, we're kind of like the point guard. Our job is, and not like the point guards now that, they hog the ball and they don't pass to anybody and all this stuff. We're the, we don't bait for fouls, any of that type of stuff. We're the person that,
Just lost all Thunder fans.
That's right. Sorry, Thunder. They're great champions, deserved champions. We're the people that, like, our job is to put all the coaches in the best position to succeed. Our job is to be the matchmakers that make kind of the whole thing work.
So it's funny you say that. I've always compared it to, especially when coaches are on the road, it's like you're playing air traffic control.
Yeah,
you're
no
like
doubt.
managing everything. You're on the phones. You're sorting everything out, making sure it's organized. Because again, if we're not doing it, coaches got enough on their plates to where it's not going to get organized to the degree it needs to.
Right. And you're the guy that, you can put people in the positions that you want. Again, just like a point guard, you could put people in the positions that you want them to be in just by how you move the ball and the angles you create and the ways you pass and all that type of stuff. And again, from a roster standpoint, it's really similar. You can create a lot of depth and versatility at certain positions by the way that you recruit it and the way that you build it and how you strategize. And again, put coaches in positions to, make certain choices that are theirs, right? And that's the funnest part about that for me is you get to really like touch everything. So back to kind of the point, Jack, like that was why I really liked personnel, was because now you can kind of shape this thing in a myriad of ways. Now, obviously, as a head coach, right, like Coach Lewis, he's obviously doing everything. So he's doing that too. But like when you're coming up in coaching, you have a smaller square footage that
Position coach, maybe even smaller than that.
right, and I'm talking about like
QC.
exactly. Like
Now-
at that point, you're just that spot.
The other really cool thing that, again, talking about the trend of it to where, again, when I was in high school, no clue this position, not just this position, but personnel, director of recruiting in general, like didn't know that was a thing. And it's one of the cool things in college football is it's changed so much to where the need for bigger and better personnel departments is so key now to where, I mean, shoot, 10 years ago, there might only be 2 people in a recruiting department. And now, even for us, we've got 6 people where we're all full-time, hands-on deck, whether it's high school recruiting, personnel decisions, GM, general managing decisions, versus, again, that wasn't the case 10 years ago with just how much recruiting has picked up, the importance of everything. And now, again, in the ever-changing landscape now, paying the athletes, like there's so much more need for it than there even was 10 years ago.
So as we talk about the word like ever-changing, because that's obviously like a motif that's going to come up all the time. We talked about it, right? Like stuff's not covered. People don't really know. This stuff's kind of changing right under their noses, as far as from the fan base standpoint. Like, let me ask you guys, what do you guys think at a typical school like the GM does? If you were to list like top 5 responsibilities,
That's
like what do you think
question.
they are?
No, I think you
You
should
can
start.
combine an answer.
Kylie, you
separately.
start this.
And then Jack can
Yeah, maybe
take
you
that.
guys like popcorn or something.
Okay.
I'm just curious
what
what we
is
think.
that?
Okay. You should go first.
I think that says it all right there, though.
No, that's a cop-out answer. Someone's got to say something.
Well,
Organize what other people do.
Okay.
it's a good one. Work with the head coach to build a roster that he's looking to put out on the field.
Scout the high school players.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's no more than you think.
Yeah.
Give yourself enough credit.
Oh, I'm still
Yeah,
going.
it's a 5.
I think you guys should break it down.
Well, that's kind of the point, though, right?
That's
Is
the
like,
point, though.
and it's so interesting because, truthfully, if you were to, you're obviously sitting with us now. If you were to go to all these different schools and interview all the GMs, like it's so funny to me, like, Adam Brenneman goes around and he interviews all the GMs. He does awesome interviews with these guys right across every school, and it's so funny to me, like he asks them each time, like, what is your day-to-day? Like, who would go to the NFL GMs and is like, what's your day-to-day?
Yeah.
The guys
So it's going to be completely different than your guys.
I was like, no, you know what I do. Like, I'm the GM. And it's so interesting because in college, he feels like he needs to ask that question because that answer is kind of different everywhere. Which, again, like in an ever-changing field, like part of the reason Caleb talked about the personnel symposium, like part of the reason why that's awesome is because we actually get to go to a space. I'll take a deep breath. We're not actually off work because during training camp, and it's funny because everybody gets calls all the time about random stuff. We all laugh about it, but we're all in this one setting where we can actually talk about, okay, let's all just take a deep breath here. What is this? Where is it going? Who's doing something smart? Who's got questions? Let's all sit down and talk about it. We only do that once a year, and it goes for like 3 or 4 days. That stuff like doesn't happen enough, and the GM role at all these different places is gotten like wildly different. And part of the reason why Caleb and I really wanted to kind of do this together in a different kind of model was we felt like we were kind of reinventing a little bit. I don't want to say reinvent the wheel, but reinvent the process a little bit in a way that we think is innovative and different. And
I would say get in front of the change.
Right.
Like we believe, and again, we may be completely wrong. Like
no doubt.
But it's
Been
what I
wrong
believe.
before.
It's what I think is going to be the best process, and I think it's what like we believe is going to work, and I think it's what's the trend's going to be. Where, again, in my mind, you call it whatever you want, but it's almost like building an NFL style front office where, as you're sitting in there on draft night, it's not just the GM sitting there making every pick. It's the GM with a national scout, area scouts, with assistant GM, with directors of scouting, with the coaching staff, again, so many people go into those decisions that, again, I don't ever foresee it being like that big, but to be able to have, all the processes that Sam's put together over his career and his journey, combine it with what we believe we do really, really well, and then, again, like I said, combine everything. I think we're putting together a system, a process, and a team that's ahead of what everyone else in the country is doing. And I'm really, really excited to see, how does the trend pick up? 5 years from now, are people emulating what we're doing, which is what I think is going to happen? Or again, like, was there something we missed that we tweaked? But again, you're always learning, you're always changing. But if you're not trying to be innovative and you're not trying to be, different in this space, like you're doing something wrong. Like, you got to hang your hat on what you believe in.
My biggest fear, like for myself in this career path, is to one day get to a place, not have success, and not have success from doing something that I wasn't like me. Whether I felt the pressure from somebody else to do things a certain way, or I was trying to kind of make somebody happy, or I was doing something because somebody else was doing it and I wanted to kind of replicate that strategy. Like my biggest fear is doing something that isn't like truly what I think, where I'm like trusting my teaching and my knowledge and my own development and, not leaning on the right people that I should be leaning on. Again, doing something that just isn't me. Like if things aren't going to succeed, do it from, your own volition,
So I always talk about that in the realm of like, as you recruit kids, as you offer kids, if a coach or anyone ever says, well, what else has he got going on? Like they want vindication that somebody else sees what he's seeing, then I'm like, guys, no, like if we lose and we get fired based off of every single decision that we believed in, like, hey, we went and offered this guy when he had no offers. We went and did this, like, hand up, like, I'm okay. Yeah. Like, I wasn't good enough, but at least I got fired doing it my way. But if I get fired because I'm going off stars or rankings or other offers, then I'll sit there and be like, did we really give it our best go? And just to piggyback off the same exact point, I think like just being able to run a program and continue elevating in a way that we see fit, that's like the super, super exciting thing about this age of college football right now.
And I think it's important for listeners to know, like, we're going to dive into all the recruiting philosophies, what NIL is, how it's changed, maybe even in the course of the next few weeks here, for all I know. I don't know.
Which is probably a great time to plug where the viewers can subscribe to.
Hey, we can go to the Substack,
nice
the We
setup.
Believe Network.
Nice.
The We Believe Network, we have featured articles from Kylie going over all the recruits that you two find, which is awesome. We really get to highlight their personality there. We Believe Players podcast with current athletes. We even have 100-yard interviews. A lot of fun content on there, so make sure to go check that out. But, Caleb, I think it's important to talk about how you found Sam and why it was important to bring him in after you were here already.
So, first off, what I wanted to do, so like I talked about building that NFL-style front office, I wanted somebody on the outside that I really, really respected, really valued their work, that we could merge processes, that could really, like I haven't told Sam in the process, like I want to find someone that I thought was better than me, that pushes me to be a better GM every day. And I've told Sam a million times, like, he's way more organized than I am, way smarter than I am, like drives me to be better every day. So, but to go back, like this is one of those relationships where me and Sam have known each other probably 2 or 3 years going back. Actually, believe it or not, he got hired at Michigan when he came back over me. So, wow. Yep. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I was a recruiting associate, still going through, figuring out everything I was doing. Now, again, like I kind of had a couple like brief conversations, but Sam was a no-brainer. So like he was someone like, saw that happen. I was like always respected the things he was doing, and then got to know him just every year in the symposium. And it was kind of one of those things like we were never like super, super close, but it was always, cordial. Like I paid attention to the stuff he was doing. We'd text from time to time, kind of pick each other's brains. So then when this job came open, it was funny. I had we had a really solid list of candidates that were interested. But I said from the jump, like, if we can get Sam Popper here, like, I know this guy, I know the value he brings, I know how smart he is. Like, this will elevate our program in ways that we don't even realize we need elevated yet. So that was my whole thing. Like, who can come in with different perspective that maybe I'm not seeing, that can handle a lot of things that I'm doing, and again, just help push me and our program to be better every day.
The part that is really exciting about ideally what we're doing is, kind of the model of how we're kind of trying to build it, basically with a GM and an associate GM. Well, I'm sure in various episodes of this pod we'll get a lot more into the weeds, but like the general manager job has moved so far over the last couple of years outside of day-to-day high school recruiting, right? As it relates to things like the contract language, the agent negotiations, the collective operation, the fundraising, right? Like you name it. And the goal of kind of what we wanted to do was if you can now basically split up that responsibility in two different directions, now both of us are freed up to have more of a role in marrying all of that stuff to the high school day-to-day recruiting process, right? Like, can your scouting be the same across high school, junior college, and transfer portal, right? Are those methods the same? Is the communication the same? Are you bringing guys in the same way under the same pretenses with the same sort of communication and transparency? Now both of us can be a lot more involved in that because of the stuff that we're splitting in terms of that role. And I think that that is something that has grown across college football at regardless whatever level you're at. And that's kind of our way of combating it. So kind of in speaking to, you know, Caleb's role in this, you're talking about somebody that you got to be remarkably low ego, right? To like go ahead and kind of want to make this work. You have to be able to kind of have the foresight to kind of see the need within the program and everything like that. And the exciting part for us that we've talked about ad nauseum is we're going to figure this, you know, things out with this strategy as we go. We'll find the pros, we'll find the cons, we'll work through things, we'll just kind of innovate it and get it better. I'm sure there's things that we'll tweak as we go, but it's great to try it out because I really do think we're on to something. And the part that really excited me about taking this job with him is I think we both realized that, again, in this world of college football, with how personnel departments are being set up, how day-to-day responsibilities are going, the organizational charts, like the whole aspect of this, it's all in a lot of ways like an efficient business. Can you put your own people in the best position to succeed, and are you operating at the most organizationally excellent and efficient way? I don't think that in college football, I know Caleb doesn't either, that has been kind of figured out yet. Like the best way hasn't been figured out yet. Through all the change that's happened, and in fairness, again, the rules change, to your point, Jack, maybe every 2 weeks, right? So how do you continuously like figure it out in the, you know, small time span? But that hasn't really been figured out yet. The exciting part for us is, shoot, if somebody's gonna figure it out, why not try it? Like, why not it be us? You know, and that's been kind of the goal of this, and it's been really fun, kind of the two of us trying to kind of put our heads together, make each other a lot better, and just try to, like, you know, go do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we've been doing this for a little, guys. What should we call it? Episode 1?
Sure.
Get to know Sam Popper,
You know,
Caleb Davis.
it's funny. So about 5 minutes ago, I was thinking about that because I was thinking, like, I have no idea what time it is right now.
No clue.
Like, it might be
You just start running. You just start
7:48,
going.
and it might be 9 o'clock. Like, I have no clue what time it is.
That's how it's supposed to. That's pod life.
8:21,
right?
right in the middle.
It's pod life for you.
Pod life, man.
Pod life.
Welcome
I'm
to
learning pod life.
Inside the Climb podcast.
Inside
What a
the
great
Climb.
logo, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
No
How
doubt.
about that? Shout
Amazing
out.
You
logo.
want to take credit for it?
I'm just saying. I don't know if it was you guys, whoever did it. Like I thought it's
Whoever
clean,
did
man.
it's an crazy.
Yeah, some
graphic
great detail
designer.
there.
You
Must
got
have
the
taken a class in
paintbrushes
college.
and, you know, did all the outlines.
I'm not saying it was me. I'm just saying it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Oh man, but we
No
appreciate
shot.
you guys.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
Appreciate you.
Well, episode 2 should be fun too.
Oh yeah.
Any fun
Gosh.
previews for it?
I mean, shoot, tan lines. That's the one.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one. I know. I already said
so-
he's coming. So
Yeah, so from a football perspective, we're really excited because, again, same type of, you know, just general like in-office conversation. We're going to talk with Coach Lewis a little bit about his career. We're going to focus a little bit on the players he's developed at various other places, right, outside of just with the Aztecs, and just kind of see, okay, truthfully, Caleb and I are just going to see, can we just get a couple fun stories out of him that maybe
Yes.
we didn't know before?
Try and just pull as many as we can.
No doubt.
I think we can.
No doubt. And
Oh,
are there
we
going to be
can.
one of the funnest things when you talk to people in football is all the random little connections that you just kind of have along the
Even through
way.
you guys right now.
They recruited, right, the same kid that, oh, I recruited this guy's cousin, or, yo, and then this head coach, oh, I remember that guy. And just like, are we going to find some random type of connection that maybe we didn't know we had with them before?
That makes
that's
me
part
think of
I'm
like
really
after the
excited for.
games finish up out on the field when all the players come together. and
Yeah.
Yep.
It's insane the amount of guys who like just you'll see other coaches and
You start to know everybody.
Yeah.
And there's a point, I don't know if it hit you like this, but for me there was a specific point when I was at Akron in 2022 when you're like playing teams and we were obviously in the MAC and it's like thinking like, oh shoot, like I know somebody on that team and I know somebody on that team. You're going through the schedule, you're like, wow, I'm actually gonna have somebody like actually say hi to every single game. And for me that was like, dang. Yeah, I never thought you'd get to that point, you know. And now it's like you play these games, it's the exact same thing. You know.
incredible.
So anyway, those are all fun.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching episode 1 of Inside the Climb. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our episode next week with our special guests. And thank you to Aztec Link, NIL, and the We Believe Net for making this all happen. And thank you guys so much for being here.
Cheers.
Absolutely.
And just
Thank
before
you
we go,
guys.
I want to put out, if you want to get to know Caleb's career a little bit more, we have a We Believe Players podcast on the Substack. He goes through his entire career journey to get to this point.
Boom.
Super fun podcast.
Subscribe to the pod.
Yes.
We'll
Subscribe.
push back.
Pod life.
All right.
Thank you guys.
All right.